So if we have CO2 plus water molecule to form glucose plus oxygen gas plus energy that is produced in the presence of sunlight, energy from sunlight and chlorophyll. As we have said earlier, the equation is balanced. This process is what we call photosynthesis. So we have to look at the mechanism of photosynthesis. The mechanism of photosynthesis. How does the plant undergo photosynthesis? Photosynthesis takes place chloroplast of plants in a cell organelle called chloroplast in a cell called mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells and the guide cells. These are the cells where photosynthesis takes place. These cells can form tissues that give rise to the organ. These cells can be found in the leaves of plants. Can be found in the leaf of plants. This chloroplast contain a pigment, a green pigment called chlorophyll in plants. Chloroplast contain a green pigment called chlorophyll. This chloroplast is the cell organelles responsible for photosynthesis. Mesophyll cells and guide cells are the cell, this is cell organelles, while the mesophyll cells and guide cells are the cells responsible for photosynthesis. The leaf is part of the plant, what we call the organs of plants responsible for photosynthesis. What that means is leaves, the mesophyll cells are found in the leaves of plants and the chloroplasts are found in the mesophyll cells of plants and the chlorophylls are found inside the chloroplast. Does that make sense to you? So, is there any other organs in a plant where you can see the mesophyll cells? Yes, in some plants, the stem contain, in some plants, example of such plants, stem contains mesophyll cells which contains the chloroplast. So photosynthesis can take place in some stems of plants. Some stems of plants, example monocot like grasses and herbs, some herbs. You see that these plants, their stems are green in color because of the presence of the chlorophyll, because of the presence of the chlorophyll in the chloroplast present in the mesophyll cells or in the guide cells of the plant. These are cells you can find chloroplast, and the chloroplast you find the green pigment. So if the stem of a plant is green in color, it means photosynthesis also takes place in the stem. The leaf of plant is the most common part of the plant where photosynthesis takes place, where glucose is produced. Where glucose is produced during photosynthesis, and that is where photosynthesis takes place. It can also take place in the stems if the stem contains the cells responsible for photosynthesis or the cell organelle responsible for photosynthesis. Okay, in a plant cell, the plant cell is covered, and let's look at the internal structure of the leaf. In a leaf is covered by what we call the corticals. The corticals, the first layer of the leaf, the first layer of the leaf, the first layer of the leaf is called the epidermis. Inside the epidermis, you see a structure. This structure is a regular cube structure that contains the chloroplast. This structure is called mesophyll, palisade mesophyll. The palisade mesophyll. We have an irregular mesophills which are not regularly packed the way it's packed in placid mesophills. These irregularly packed mesophills in a plant is called the spongy mesophyll. Is called the spongy mesophyll. The space is the air space. We have a structure here that contains the vascular bundles in the leaf, the xylem, and the phloem, which is the vascular tissue in the leaves of the plant. The leaves also have a space. This space is called the stomata and is created by the guide cells. Created by the guide cells. So where do we find chlorophyll now? The chloroplast in this leaf. This is the internal structure of the leaf. The internal structure of the leaf. Chloroplasts are found in the mesophyll cells, and these are the mesophyll cells. This is where we find the chloroplast, and inside this chloroplast, this is where you see the chlorophylls, which is one of the most important pigments that start the photosynthetic process, as we are going to see. Remember, palisade mesophills contains more chloroplasts than spongy mesophills. Take note of that. It contains more chloroplasts. Palisade mesophyll contains more chloroplasts than spongy mesophyll. So this is the structure of you have the air space. This is the air space. So this is the structure of the leaf of a plant, and the photosynthesis takes place in the mesophyll cells, both the palisade mesophills and spongy mesophyll. However, the palisade mesophyll has more chloroplast, so photosynthesis takes place more in palisade mesophyll layers than in the spongy mesophills. Let's look at what happens in the chloroplast of the plant during photosynthesis. That is the mechanism of photosynthesis.